In many ways, the 2016 campaign seems to center around kind of three issues that are kind of linked. Income inequality, which I think Sanders is talking a lot about. Martin O'Malley, who's the former Baltimore governor, is also talking about. Then also campaign finance reform is another issue. There was a ruling in 2011, Citizens United, and then another ruling called speechnow.org. Both of those enabled the development of super PACs, which then enabled a lot of kind of the campaigns to be sponsored by these large lobbying groups or these kind of extra party political entities. And so that's one of the issues that definitely is at the forefront of the 2016 campaign. And when you look at it, Hillary Clinton has around, I think, $60 million in her war chest with the super PACs. A candidate like Bernie Sanders, who's kind of playing the economic populist role in the kind of Democratic primary, has something like 15 million, and most of that is from direct small donors. So if people are voting with their pockets or with their purses, people are actually voting for Bernie Sanders by donating to his campaign. But unfortunately, he can't compete with the super PACs. I think originally the thinking behind his campaign was kind of a protest campaign or a campaign around public persuasion. And his hope was to really put a dent in the Democratic Party politics and discourse, which is mostly a kind of post-welfarist, third-wayist perspective. And Bernie Sanders talks about Sweden, he talks about social democracy in Central Europe, Northern Europe, and those are kind of the models that he invokes frequently in the campaign. Another interesting feature of the Sanders campaign, which is actually why I think it's taken off in the past 4 or 5 months, is that he's actually running as an economic populist. So he's really trying to speak, he uses the phrase working families, which is now our kind of code word for the working class, and for so-called, because Americans always believe they're middle class, but the people who are kind of within also the aspirational classes. And so he's speaking in a language that is actually very familiar to many Americans. The Republicans have spoken in these populist terms. Democrats have, socialists have even. There once was, in fact, a socialist party that did speak in this language of kind of Midwestern economic populism. But as of late, he actually has been making a lot of gains. I think the last poll that was recorded, he actually is edging out, or he's in advance of Hillary Clinton in the New Hampshire campaign. There's also another poll that was recently released that says that he would, if he ran against Jeb Bush, he would probably beat Jeb Bush in a national contest. So Sanders actually now, I think, is a legitimate candidate, but really the kind of aims of his campaign have been successful. He's already put a dent in kind of the discourse. The Democratic Party, starting, I think, in the 1970s, but really reaches this apex in the Clinton years, really becomes a post-welfarist party, very similar to kind of the German and the French and the British kind of labor and social democrats who move to the right. And so I think Sanders' ultimate goal is really to push the Democratic Party and push Clinton to kind of make commitments to a more welfarist regime.